First thing we want to do is just lay out all of our parts, 3D printed parts, and make sure that they're all cleaned up. Most of them are printed without supports, but these two here are printed with supports. And all of the other pieces, it might look like a support. For example, this right there, that's a hole, but I designed it so that it can print without a support. And if you come across that, the easiest thing to do is just take something sharp, kind of, maybe this isn't the right thing. Oh, there it goes. And just kind of, you can poke a hole right through it. And then that'll allow your screw to go all the way through. That's the design on most of these parts. You can see I already did that there and here. I just recommend you can even use the screwdriver and just push that through. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just take something like this. You can really use whatever. Get in here and take these supports out. And then we'll just have these right here to remove. The easiest thing to do is kind of push from the bottom and that'll pop out. Take that out. Same thing with this one. We'll also need to take out the supports from this motor housing, which I kind of forgot to do earlier. So we do the same thing. We'll just use these to pop all these out. And you might need to just clean all this little stuff up. There you go, took those little pieces out. This looks pretty good. So here I have all the parts that we'll need. What we'll do first is we'll assemble the motor. We'll put the motor into the housing. So that'll require the motor, the housing, and then the front of the housing. And the way this works is that you take this, face this downwards, so that's facing down in there, and you'll slide it through here like that. And then what we'll do is then this cover goes like this, so that these recessed holes right here, we'll put these in here. So what we'll do is we'll take our I believe it's a 2 millimeter Allen wrench, and we'll begin by putting and then we're just going to start it. So what we'll do is we'll just start the 2 bottom screws. We don't want to go too far. We don't want to go too far. So next what we'll do is we'll hold this down. We'll position it like this. You can put your finger back here. And screw one of these down. There we go. Now if you make sure these holes are lined up, you can push this motor out a little bit, and then we'll get this second one in. And once again, make sure that your wire back here is facing down inside there. Make sure these are nice and snug. Really get them as tight as you can, because they're really holding that motor in. Make sure that it's flat. Sometimes you might accidentally have a gap. So here, make sure everything's flat and turns perfectly straight like that. Next, what we'll do is we'll attach the PCB to the back plate right here. Notice that it says up, and this is up because this power cable is going to be down. So make sure that you orient this in the right direction. So what we'll do is then we'll next take it and we'll attach this right here. using these 4 of these thread forming screws. And there we go. That's been attached. Next, what we'll do is we need to connect the motor to here. So if your motor has a JST XH connector, you can just go ahead and plug that right in without a problem. But this motor does not have that, so we'll need to use the screw terminal right here. So I'll begin by loosening this up so that these 4 terminal blocks that they go all the way down. So what I'll do is I'll put this in here. You can see. These have all dropped down. So now that the hole is open, so I will do this is we'll go red, blue, green, and then black at the bottom. If you need to, you'll also need to strip your wires so that there's just a little bit remaining right there. There we go. Next, what we'll do is now we'll put this cover right over. And before we do that, let's go ahead and put 2 buttons that we have into here. So we'll take the button, and we'll pop it up in there, and we'll take this button, and we'll pop that one up into here. So one issue I'm kind of having right now is that this is too tight. There we go. That won't work. So what happened is that this 3D print didn't come out to be super perfect when I took off the support. So I'm just gonna go ahead and clean that up a little bit. And when I put it back, there we go. Nice and loose. And let me clean that up really quickly right here. All right, so next what we'll do is we will put an M3 thread forming screw through these 4 holes right here. You can't see them because the way this is printed without supports, but you can go ahead and punch a small hole with a screwdriver through here to get that started. We want to make sure that orient the buttons right here to be facing up. Sometimes it helps to flip this thing upside down so that these buttons don't fall out. I'll just go ahead and slide that right there. All right, now we should have this motor housing. Those buttons should be clicking nice and easy. So next what we'll do is we'll work on the arms right here. To do that, we'll take both of these arms right here, and first thing we do is we take 2 of these bearings and we just put them into here. Then we take the M3 button screw and we just start it out right here, just like that. And this part's a little tricky because you'll have to kind of angle it just right. Be sure not to go too hard because you'll end up damaging the bearing if you're not perfectly centered in it with it. So I can kind of feel it when it's in the right spot, and there we go. So now I got it through there. Then we'll take one of these M3 square screws. We'll hold that in place and we'll tighten this down. Like that. And get it as tight as you can without impeding on this ability to turn. So right now I've tightened it way too hard because if I try to spin with my fingers, it won't spin. So I'll back it off a little bit and there we go. Now it spins nice and easy. And we'll go ahead and do the same with this one right here. What we'll do next is we'll take this piece. It doesn't matter which way you flip up or down. One side is probably going to be a little nicer looking than the other, so maybe you could put that on the outside. And we'll just put these through two very long screws all the way through. Okay, next we'll do is make sure that these are facing outwards and these these little lips, this extra portion here is kind of facing towards the inside. They're facing each other. And we're going to slide this all the way through. There we go. And same thing on this side. I'm just going to slide this all the way through. Just like that. I'm going to double check once again that these are rolling just fine. And before we go ahead and put it on there, let's go ahead and put this on. Make sure that you align this with this D shaft right here. So the screw goes on that. And what we'll do is we'll adjust the position a little bit later, but right now just go ahead, put it, kind of eyeball it and see wherever you think looks about right. All right, so once this is attached, we'll now go ahead and attach this piece right here. So that just goes through through those two holes there, and we will screw this down. The one thing to just kind of be careful is don't screw it down too tight. I should probably do a little more evenly there, but there we go. Okay, so you might be tempted to screw it down all the way, really, really tight. You don't want to do that because then it will keep you from rotating these, which you need to do. So we're just going to go mostly all the way. This one needs to be tightened up a little bit more. There we go. So finally, we're going to place this in here like that. And we'll put this in here. You can leave it out and then you can put it in at the very end, but I'll just do it now to kind of show you. And if you're going to put this in right now, just go ahead and just get it started because you need this open enough to slide the rope onto the gear. So you don't want to tighten this down too much. But at the same time, you also don't want to be losing these two parts. So that's the motor housing. And then finally, what we'll do is I like to use these. And if you have these available, I highly recommend you get them. They'll come in 4 of them attached like that. And what I'll do is I'll just take them all apart. And then we'll flip them over and connect 2 of these together. Just like that. And we'll do the same. All right, there we go. So you can use double-sided tape if you want. I like these because double-sided tape can really mess up your wall when you go to take it off. If you're using drywall and paint on your wall, you might end up tearing it off with double-sided tape. This stuff, though, these command strips, if you don't want to use this anymore, you just go ahead and pull on these, and they don't damage your wall. So what I'll do is I'll just take these and only undo one side. We'll do the other side when we go to mount it onto the wall. We'll take that off, and we'll just stick it on the very edge, the top here, along the edge, just like that. we go. And we'll put this one as well. If you want, you can also use the nail holes. So there's 4 nail holes that I made for drywall. What you do is you put a small nail. But the way that works is you can drive 2 nails at this angle, and then drive these 2 nails at this angle, and that like bites into the drywall really, really well. Or you can use this hole and use a drywall anchor and a drywall screw, or any even if you don't have a drywall, you can just screw it into wherever. So there's 3 mounting options. You got the nails, screw, and tape. And I prefer the tape just because it's really sturdy and you can take it off without any damage. We'll begin with these Teflon tubes. You might have several of them, or you might have one really, really long one. And what we need are 6 of them cut to the exact length. So I created this cutting guide right here that you can 3D print and should be in the 3D printed platter. So what you do is you just insert the tube. Try to make sure that the flattest end of the tube is right here. And we're going to cut 2 of each size. So 6 total, 2 of this one, and this one. And you can see this is the long one, medium one, and then the short one. So what you do is you just insert the long one here, and we'll get it to this length right there. And then all you do is you take a razor and then you cut it as flush as you can. So let me kind of show you right here. Cut it as flush as possible. And let me do this so I don't cut my fingers. There we go. See, it's not that flush on this end. So what I like to do is just go ahead and trim it up. Maybe you can trim it up a little bit. And it's really nice just to have it kind of as flush, as nice and flush as you can. And then on this side, there's a hole because there's no other way to get this. There's no way to get this thing out right now. So what you do is you take some sort of tool that has like a flat end on it, and the rim of this is right over here. So we just take that and we push that out, and we can grab that, and there we go. So we'll need again two of each of these, 2 of this one, 2 of these, and 2 of these. Next, what we'll do is we'll assemble the elbow, and this is what curves the rope. So it goes from this bottom direction into the horizontal direction. We'll need 2 of these Teflon tubes, the longest ones, and we'll need this piece here and this piece here, and then we'll need 2 of these thread forming screws. So the easiest way to do this is to take this piece right here and insert this tube and just kind of bend it, and it kind of clicks into place. So it holds itself into place. And we'll do the same thing here. We'll kind of push it down, and then that right there holds itself into place. Then we'll take this piece right here. It might be a little confusing. I still need to put in the instructions which direction goes where, but you can see that does not line up. So we need to line this up. I'm going to add some sort of a arrow soon to this to let you know. But see, if you place it right here, then these line up just perfectly. And what we do is go ahead, hold those together, and screw this piece in. And what I like to do is just screw it in just a little bit, nothing, not too much right now. And then do this one next, just until both of them kind of grab. And then now we can really cinch these down. So go ahead and do that one. And this one here. You don't have to go too tight. There might be some gaps. There's some tolerance issues because some of these tubes are a little bit bigger than others. But that's not a problem whatsoever. So as you can see, now this is assembled and ready to go. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to assemble the end pulley. What we'll do is we'll have these 2 pieces right here. We'll have the short length Teflon tubes. We'll have a square M3 nut, and we'll have a pulley, M3 thread forming screw, and this M3 by 12 millimeter screw as well. We'll begin by taking one of these pieces. It doesn't really matter which one it is, and we'll insert these into there, just like that. Then we'll take this pulley like this, and the easiest thing is just to slide this M3 screw from the bottom. Like that, and we'll take this and we'll place it right on top. And you might need to there we go. Sometimes it's these get in the way and you'll need to like use this to create a hole. So then we'll take this thread forming screw and we'll put it through this side first. I'm gonna tighten this one down like that, and then what I'll do is I'll tighten this one here, get that to go through that side, and you can see it's kind of sticking out. I'll go ahead and throw this square nut into there and get that all tightened up. And we'll want to get it, as tight as you can, but you always want to make sure, you always want to do a quick test. Make sure things are, that it's always spinning, because a lot of times if you over tighten screws with plastic parts like that, they can tighten it too much. So there we go. And what we'll do next is, not next, but what we'll do later is that we'll put a zip tie through this little hole and attach that to the curtain. Next, we'll assemble the right side carriage. We'll need 4 thread forming screws. We'll need the medium size tube, and then we'll need the correct top and bottom piece. So on the right side one, it has 2 screws on the top. That's the easiest way to tell. The left side piece only has the 1 screw, but then you'll also notice it has this channel right here, versus the other side. I'll bring it right here. Is just completely straight all the way, versus this one has this channel. So let's go ahead and get all these parts and let's get started. So we're going to begin with this top piece first, and we'll take this tubing and we'll insert it into there. And it's easier to use this one because it just sits flush right there. And then we'll take this while that's still upside down and we'll slide it over like that. And what we're going to do is we're just going to put 1 screw in on this side and then 1 screw in on that side. Next, what we'll do is we'll just put a screw into these 2. We're not going to put them all the way through. We're just going to get it started just a little bit. And sometimes you might have the 3D printed material in the way, so I just like to take the screwdriver. This one I already did. I like to kind of punch a hole right through that. So what we'll do is we'll just take this, get it started a little bit like that. And we don't want to go too far because we'll need to put the rope through here. These essentially clamp down onto the rope. So we don't want to put them down all the way just yet. So that is done, and let's get the other side started. So what we'll do is we'll start over here. We'll take this, we'll place that in there, and then just be sure that you align this hole with that hole right there. So as you can see, make sure that these 2 are right over each other. And we're going to put in 1 screw on this side and 1 on that side. Next what we'll do is we'll take this remaining screw and we'll also just get it started. So be sure that you can punch a hole in there. And we're not going to go all the way just because we'll save that for the very end, but we just want to go a little bit, but not enough that so make sure you cannot see it through there because we'll need to put the rope through there.